it's Emma Holmes at Rockstar HQ, and I am joined, let's see if I can get this right. I am joined, yes I did!
Am I there?
I'm really rubbish with this mirroring thing, and I can never get which way. So I am joined today by the lovely Ange Walton, who is also known as the Epiphany Junkie. Hi Ange!
Hi Emma, are you down there then?
No, other way.
Ah, hi Emma.
Yeah, I'm not good at it. Morning, Gemma. Come on. As you arrive, it would be great for you to say hi. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're around. We're just going to be having a little bit of a chat today. We're going to be chatting epiphanies. We're going to be chatting business journeys. We'll see where we go. Be great.
Yes.
Hi, Karen. Welcome. So I'm just going to put chat with the lovely Ange Walton, Epiphany Junkie. You know, I'm really good at spelling epiphany now.
Oh yeah. A lot of people struggle with that one.
It used to be one that I just where are all these p's going, but now I can do that. I can do it. So come on in, say hi. It'd be lovely to see you. And I want to kick off with asking you, Ange, a little bit about your entrepreneurial adventure today.
Well, do you mean the one that we're talking about as in Epiphany Junkie, or in my life? Because I've had a few.
Let's talk about your life, missus. Let's talk about how you've got where you are right now. It's
like being on Oprah. I'm especially excited to be here. So yes, my entrepreneurial adventure has been, well, I started out as a journalist and then realised very quickly that you didn't earn an awful lot of money doing that, and it was quite stressful. So I went into PR and set up a PR company, which I did for, I've still actually got it. It's just over there, and I only have my, a family client. But and I did that for about 12 years, and then during that time, I went through so many different personal experiences and struggles, with money, with not managing money, with getting into debt, with emotional struggles, all the stuff that we have growing up through our sort of late 20s and 30s. And, I pretty much ended up having to close my my limited company the first time around because I just wasn't coping or managing my, I call it shit. So I apologise for any sweary sensitives. That's what I call it. And I was just pushing through. So then I restarted that business and did it properly and learned some hard lessons. And in that process, I discovered emotional freedom technique, tapping. And I went on this amazing transformational journey really for the next, probably next 6 years after that, and ended up wanting to do it for a living to help other people to discover their own shit and sort it and shift it. And also for me to be able to just, share the benefit of the experience, because I've been through some horrific pain and some horrific struggles and some major epiphanies and realizations. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. So that's why I'm here doing Epiphany Junkie and not over there necessarily doing PR anymore.
So tell me a little bit about how you found EFT.
It's a bit of a funny story actually, because I if anybody knows me who's on here today, they'll know that I do have a fairly strong personality, and you will know about it if I'm around. I'm no shrinking violet, put it that way. So, and because I was struggling with personal stuff that I wasn't particularly acknowledging or wasn't dealing with very well, there was a particular time in my life where that was starting to create a bit of a drama in my relationship. And I basically got an ultimatum from my partner, who's now my husband. So thankfully it's worked. But I got told, do something about it or naff off. And I fell into the arms of a brilliant EFT practitioner in Darlington, in my hometown, and I never looked back from that day forward, because the clarity I got in my first ever EFT session was like a veil being lifted that had been over my eyes for years and years and years. And I came out absolutely buzzing in a totally different way to how I'd gone in. A positive buzz rather than a destructive buzz, you know. And so I just loved it. And sorry, go on.
Had you tried any other therapies?
Probably drinking too much wine. Probably partying a bit too hard from a Thursday to a Sunday. And I don't think they call that therapy, do they?
Some people use it as
therapy. I'd had things like, well, I think what it used to be called when I started it was Shen, but I think it's mainly Reiki that they call it now. But I don't know where Shen went and Reiki appeared. But I had been quite into energy stuff without ever calling myself an energy person or a, you know, woo-woo or any of that. And so I hadn't really tried anything other than I lay on a bed and some woman did something and I felt better when I got up, and that's all I've done really. And so, but I was always quite a connected person. For all I had a huge disconnection in my own life, I was a very connected person on a spiritual level. And, you know, I used to gobble Oprah episodes up like food. You know, because I loved personal growth and I loved bettering myself. I just couldn't get out of my own way to actually implement it properly in my life. And that's where EFT came in and made all the difference for me, really, I think. You know?
As I look behind you, I know that there are four pictures on your wall.
Yeah, there's two there and there's two up there as well. They are the 4 agreements.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, that was actually a guy I saw on Oprah years ago called Don Miguel Ruiz, and he wrote a little book. I don't know where it is actually. It's tiny. It's only about that big. It'll be in there somewhere behind. And yeah, it is. It is, and it's based on the principles that there are 4 agreements that we can live our lives by, and if we can actually just, I mean, you know, when I read them out, you'll think, that's not possible. You can't do that all the time. And he doesn't tell you that you have to do them all the time. But if you keep them in your awareness, they will transform your life. And the first one is be impeccable with your word, speak with integrity, and say only what you mean. The second one, which is awesome, not always that easy, is it? It's all about using the power of your words in the direction of truth and love as well, which is lovely. And agreement 2 is don't take anything personally. This was a big one for me. And if you are a people pleaser and a fixer and you go out of your own way to exhaust yourself for the benefit of others in order to feel good, you take things really flipping personally when they don't work out. Oh, that was a big one. I'm still learning that one big time, I think. You know, I think it's a hard one, isn't it, Emma?
I think you've got to remember, you know, what the Course of Miracles says is that if you give to others to the detriment of yourself, that you make the other person a thief. And that's not their intention. You know,
that's amazing.
It's a really deep one, but it was one that really has really stuck with me because I'm a giver. You know, I absolutely want to help and serve and support. But also, if that does that to the point that it actually depletes me, and I'm doing it for you, I then make you the thief.
Totally.
And you want that. You didn't ask for that.
And neither do you want the backlash when you get pissed off because you've given and something hasn't come back, and you know, and then you get into that mess of resentment. You know, and it says, you know, what others say and do is projection of their own reality, their own dream. You know, when you can make yourself immune to the opinions of others and the actions of others, then you are no longer the victim of needless suffering. Which is just like, how lovely would that be?
I think it's very, very interesting because I think that we are all interconnected, but I think that also, particularly in the digital age, so often the written word can be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, big time.
And so often we're so busy and we just send. And you think, ooh, the recipient goes, ooh, that was harsh. Let's roll it back. And then, you know, the amount of times that I've started a message and then sent it, and then underneath I've gone, morning.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, sometimes you can, if you're the kind of, it all depends how you were raised and what life's taught you and what you've been through. But if you're the kind of person that really doesn't like upsetting people, and you don't like being upset by other people, and you get an email or a text and it doesn't have a kiss on the end, and it can be a real trigger to send you into a spiral of paranoid thoughts that can ruin your goddamn day, if not the entire week. And it all depends on how you manage that, and how self-aware you are to be able to separate that from yourself and actually say, actually, that's not who I am. That's just triggering something. And that's a really big one, not taking things personally. The other one is agreement 3. Don't make assumptions. This was a big one for me as a journalist, because it's one of the key things that you learn as a journalist, is never make an assumption, because it will 9 times out of 10 be fundamentally wrong. And then you've printed it in a newspaper and everybody's seen it, and all of a sudden the editor's getting sued. So you would have to ask stupid questions in order to write a story, just to make sure that you weren't making any assumptions. But in this context, it's sort of saying, communicate as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings. Don't make assumptions about people, because the chances are you haven't got a clue what's going on with them and why they are the way they are and what their experience is. And he says in that one, with this one agreement, you can totally change your life, transform it.
I think the one that sort of relates back to that's been on my radar has been, I think it's called The Little Book of Mindfulness. And they talk about the fact that there are arrows fired. So somebody else fires an arrow at you, a conversation, an email, whatever. They fire their arrow. That arrow is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is the arrow that you fire back.
Yes, exactly.
So that's where your responsibility lies. You can't change the arrows that come in, but you have the responsibility of the arrows that go back out.
And I think that's quite a challenging thing for people, especially if you've your experience in life growing up was with overbearing, particularly sometimes ambitious or overbearing or demonstrative families. I had a very noisy, demonstrative, overbearing family. Loved them dearly, but God, we made some noise together, and they was just full, it was just mental how full on. Yeah. And, I think, when you've had that, it can sometimes just underdevelop your sense of self, and you grow up, and all of a sudden you get into the adult world, and you start having these opinions, and you're a bit demonstrative and a bit boisterous and a bit full of it, and you don't realize that where you start and end, and where somebody else starts. And that was a real big thing for me to learn, and EFT really helped me understand where I finish and where somebody else begins.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, because that stops you taking on other people's crap and shit and people pleasing and fixing, and women are brilliant at it, and we need to ditch it. It's pants.
Tell us about number 4.
Number 4 is always do your best.
Oh, that's
what you were told at school. Yeah. Your best is going to change. Important to note, from moment to moment, because your best when you are sick is not as good as your best when you are well. And that's really important for us, when we love our online businesses, we love what we do. So we can fall into the trap of overworking because we doesn't feel like work, and we're getting to meet other inspirational people, and we're just getting amongst it. And, a meeting doesn't feel like a meeting. But if you've overdone it and you get sick, and your best isn't what it was, it just is your best at the time, isn't it? And I know you're a big advocate of that, because you'd be kicking my bum on a regular basis saying you're doing your best with where you are right now. Cut yourself some slack. So it says if you always do your best, simply do your best, then you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Awesome.
I like that a lot. So, when did it go from using EFT personally to your epiphany that you wanted to take it forward into a business?
I found that was getting feedback from people. When I was running my PR company, and I had an agency with staff, and we had, lots of big retained accounts, and it was, how it becomes when you run a bigger business like that, is that you're feeding. They're like, you're feeding the situation, and I was on this, this momentum, but I always found myself helping staff and them coming to me and wanting to ask me questions. And I got feedback quite early on, probably in that career, that I was quite, uplifting and inspiring. And I always made people feel like they could do it when they hadn't felt they could do it before. And that was something that, and I'm not bigging myself up here, this is the truth, I didn't know that about myself until I started to get that feedback. And then I started to realize that when I was doing that, I was in my bliss. I was in heaven, taking somebody from the point of you can't to you can, and that's when I really started to buzz. And I would just go and drop my baby off at the childminder for a few hours, and I would come out and she would message me and say, I'm buzzing now, I've spoken to you, and I just started to realize that PR was a brilliant job for me. I love the written word. I always will. I'll always be a journalist through and through, but I wasn't able to change the world with it. I wasn't able to raise consciousness with it, particularly because a lot of it is, it's not all spin, but a lot of it is contrived. And a lot of it's to get an outcome or to get a sale. And I just wanted to share it. And I think because people started to say to me, I really think, you could do this. And of course, I've got some very, very gifted spiritual people in my life, who guide me. And, they've been saying, and they know who they are. One in particular, I think we both know, will have been saying, for goodness sake, will you just get out there and do what you came here to do, girl? And so I think making the transition between being a person that's on a journey and then helping others develop their journey took me a good year to master, because you start to think you've got to have it all worked out in order to help others, but I know you do not. You just have to be doing your best.
Yeah,
and speaking as you intend, and with integrity and all of that. You just have to be following the 4 agreements, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me where the name Epiphany Junkie came from.
Well, that was the first session I ever had. I had about 20 million whizzy pop bang moments in 1 hour where everything just, like I say, it was a veil lifted, and I suddenly saw everything with clarity in this moment. It was almost like a aha, skies parting, the light came in moment. And I'm not exaggerating. Mm-hmm. It was like I saw it all, and I couldn't, and obviously then straight at the end of that session, it all kind of fell back to where it was, but I had seen it, and nobody could change that I'd seen it, and I spotted what I was doing and where it had come from, and I just thought, oh my God, what an amazing epiphany. Mm-hmm. I've just realized that tapping on these meridian points whilst sitting with the discomfort I'm going through opens up that part of the the brain, the frontal cortex, if you like, that shuts down when you're in trauma or fog or stress or anxiety or heartache or whatever. It shuts down so that you can survive. And I had been in fight flight a lot of my life. I hadn't realized it until then, but I had been in an anxiety state towards, probably for a long time. And it wasn't until I tapped in that EFT session, and that can switch off the fight flight stress response. So what it does is it switches off all of the panic and the crap and the rubbish for that moment, and allows you to see things for what they are. And the epiphanies flow thick and fast when you do it. And that's why people love it, because you can be thinking one thing 1 minute, and that can be a limiting belief that you've held for years. I am this kind of person. This isn't going to work for me. And then you can sit with it, tap on how you feel about it, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes, half an hour later, you can be saying, I can totally see that it's going to work for me and that it isn't who I am. And it's just epiphany after epiphany. And I became addicted, if you like, to the journey, and addicted to finding out more and learning more and digging deeper. And, I went at it, fair to say, like an absolute, bull. And I just, people say to me, I'm a bit scared to do it. I'm a bit scared. I don't know what epiphanies I'm going to get, and it might make me cry, and I might be, the floodgates might open, but that's the beauty of tapping. It supports your system physically, allows the energy, the negative charge to be released while you're doing it, which in turn stops the overwhelm and the panic from becoming too much. And yeah, you might cry. I regularly make people cry in my sessions. It's just the way it is. But they feel awesome in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome cry, because it's almost the minute you've realised it, it's like, I don't need to carry this shit around with me anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it's a good cry, it's a good connection, it's a good realisation, invariably. And I got addicted to it, and I still am, and I think I will be forever, to be honest. It's I don't feel like I go to work, I go towards epiphanies and I create them for other people, and that's why I'm doing what I do, because I've changed my life and I want everybody else to be able to change theirs.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about EFT and how it works.
So how it works is, it's a bit like acupuncture without needles. We have all these meridian points in our body which actually control the flow of our energy. And when you put a needle in those, if you go for acupuncture, it actually creates a healing process. It sort of fixes what you could describe as a short circuit. So if you've got negative emotion, and it's a loop of negative emotion that keeps coming round and round and round, you could argue it's like a kink in your hose pipe. When the hose pipe's kinked and nothing comes out, and then all you do is, straighten it out, and the water flows really, really quickly. And that's a bit like our energy system. And when the guy that discovered EFT realized that these are actually acupressure points, they're not just for needles. You can just literally put some pressure on them repeatedly like that, and you will stimulate the same healing process and the same balancing effect. And what it is fight flight, which is, we are in an epidemic of fight flight at the moment. Life's never been more stressful, even though we've got more technology and more things to make life quicker and easier, and we don't have to leave the house to do things. For some reason, that has made us more stressed, because we have greater expectations and everybody's doing more. And so we're in fight flight a lot of the time and don't even realize it. And what that primitive response is to keep us safe. It's to keep us, able to either fight and win or run away. And when you press these acupuncture points, you send a message directly. It's like, I call it a direct line to my brain, because I just think, if I had one, I'd be like that. Right, pick the phone up, shut up, what's going on? Have a conversation. Let's talk about this and sort it out. Whereas because it's in our brains and we can't see through our heads, we think, oh, it's real. It's all real, and I'm never going to be any good, and I'm never going to be any different. And in actual fact, it's just a response. Stress is a response. It isn't who you are. Mm-hmm. So when you tap these pressure points while thinking, I am sick of this, I'm stressed, she's making me sad, I feel angry, whatever you're feeling, it's about sitting with it instead of running away from it.
Yeah.
And when you press that, you discharge that negative energy. So if you look at a dog, a dog, when it's fired up to have a run, or it's chasing a cat or something, whatever, a wild animal, they can shake and they can run and they can disperse that. We can't do that as human beings. So, it just gets held inside our system, and then the sympathetic nervous system gets out of balance. We produce more nasty hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and then it becomes habitual. And then we can't lose weight, and we can't stop drinking because we're chasing the pleasure pain thing. And tapping stops all of that. I don't understand how people are living without it, to be honest.
So how often would you say that you tap for yourself?
Every day. Oh, for myself?
Yeah.
Probably 2 to 3 times a week, but only for very short periods now. When I was working through my shit, clearing out the crap that I had been carrying around for years, I would sit and do it for 40 minutes probably at a time. And if I was in a moment where something had really fired me up or got me going, or I was really upset about something, I would take myself off and I would do 20 minutes. And I would say, depending on what you're going through, you know, it really is subjective to your individual circumstances. But you know what? If you can tap on your collarbone points when you feel upset, or and you're boiling the kettle, or you're in the shower and you're thinking, you know, I'm worried about today. How's it going to go? What's going to happen? You know, if you're worrying about money, whatever, you can just you can just stand and do this while you're in the shower, you know, while you're, you know, sitting watching breakfast TV. Any tapping is effective. So the problem we get with people with tapping is they build it up to be something they've got to give session time to and commit to, and they have to know what to say, and they might get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. If you're tapping those points and you're feeling like crap, you will feel better for doing it. It's as simple as that. You're fixing the situation. You're switching off the automatic responses that have been going on forever and ever for you. And so, and it isn't a placebo effect. You don't even need to believe in it for it to work. So you can sit there as a total skeptic and say, I think this is a load of crap and I feel a complete wally doing it. But I'm doing it anyway because Emma believes in it and Ange said it worked. So that'll do for me for now. And you'll find that you feel better. Yeah. So, you know, it's totally safe. You can't do any harm. What I would say is don't go and work through deep personal trauma on your own, because that would be irresponsible. Nobody should be working through stuff like that on their own, and you would need a practitioner. But for day-to-day mindset, getting out your own way, turning up, being able, you know, I mean, the struggles that we go through making videos and putting ourselves out there, and, you know, all the reasons why we hang on to your every word, is, you know, can be helped with tapping. You know, you can sit and tap and say, I'm too scared. I'm just too scared to do this. I can't do it today. And it's all about forgiving yourself and accepting yourself for feeling the way you do, even if you don't like it. You know, we judge ourselves so harshly, and it's the judgment that keeps you stuck, not the problem itself. Yeah. So, you know, if you're being a really nasty, meanie mini to yourself, and, you know, you are not getting something done, then the longer you hold on to that judgment, the longer you'll stay stuck. Whereas with tapping, you have to say to yourself, even though I feel this way, I love and accept myself anyway. Now, that might seem like a really strange thing to say, but it's designed to provoke you into feeling resistance so that you can tap it out.
And I will always say,
go right to it.
And you will always say, obviously, that, you know, it's nobody... You don't have to be fearless to build a business, all right? You'll see loads of memes about being fearless, but actually you don't have to be fearless. Yeah. It's okay to feel whatever it is that you feel. Allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
But allow it to not, you know, unpack its bags and consume you. Look at ways that you can move beyond it. And, you know,
tapping is the ideal way to do that.
You can't just box off the feelings and go, well, I'm not supposed to be afraid, so therefore I shall not be afraid. Because that doesn't fucking work.
It doesn't work, because what happens is you put it in a box, you tape it up with one of those big sellotape guns, and you write on the side, that's shit, I'm putting that up there on that shelf, and I'm just gonna ignore it and push through. And, you know, the way I teach people to talk to understand their emotions is that it doesn't matter whether you ignore it on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis, it will not go away, because it is there to teach you something. It is there to be acknowledged. It is there for you to say, okay, I get you're scared. Why are you scared? That's because you have witnessed fear in a similar situation at some time in your life. Most likely, these are called triggers. So, you know, for instance, you know, if somebody's got to come out and they've signed up for your course and they're going to crack on, and suddenly they've got to get out there on Facebook and do loads of visibility work and put themselves out there, you know, that can trigger memories of school assemblies where everybody stared at you and your pants fell down, or, you know, your recorder didn't work, or whatever, you know, really traumatic moments as a child that you could do nothing about. You couldn't discharge that negative emotion because you were stood in assembly and everybody's staring at you. And you might have then gone home. You might have been ribbed for it by the kids in the playground. extra trauma. You might have gone home and your parents might have said, don't be so stupid, shut up and get on with your homework. You might have been dismissed. You know, you might not. You might have had wonderful experiences like that. You know, not all of us did. And everybody's got lovely experiences and awful experiences. We don't all grow up in a Doris Day-like cottage, you know, with Disney bluebirds sitting chirping on our shoulders, do we? You know, it's just not like that. And so our limbic system stores and date stamps every traumatic thing we've ever gone through in there. And whenever somebody comes along like Emma Holmes and says, so I want you to go and do a video live on your page, that part of the limbic system goes, hang on a minute, we've got a filing cabinet full of reasons why you shouldn't do that. So I'm going to open it up, shut them all out. And in a nanosecond, and it happens in a nano, that's the subconscious, it's just so fast. There is a boardroom table of information and evidence why you cannot do this.
And right it's often not what you think it is as well.
Not always, never what you think it is. You think, oh, it was because my hamster died. Actually, it wasn't. You know, it was because such and such didn't give you some sweets. Or you know, and I mean, it's not all childhood, but a lot of it goes back to childhood, because that's when we were shaping our value system. It's when we were at our most impressionable, and it's when, you know, it so matters to us to be in the right scene and knowing what to do and feeling like we've got it together. And, you know, and so the strategy that you build up when you're 14, if you're bullied at school, or you lose a parent very young, or whatever your experience is, the strategy, your beautiful emotional system that is designed purely to keep you safe from pain in the future, is probably not going to work for you by the time you reach 35, 40, 50. And you'll probably find that that's where the negative triggers and loops are coming round and round and round. And because you're pushing out of your comfort zone, it's literally setting off a fire alarm inside your brain that's saying, but you don't understand. You told us to make sure you never felt that way before again. And we're making sure you don't. And so you can imagine going away from your pain and going away from your discomfort and your fear and boxing it up and putting it on a shelf and saying, hoping it'll just do one, is futile, because it's there to be acknowledged. It's there to be heard. And it's there for you to say, come on, let's all get on the same team. I can show you that this is going to be okay.
Because you don't live under that fear for the rest of your life, do you?
No, and the frustrating thing is, the minute you start tapping on it, you get this in an epiphany. Isn't a la moment of something you didn't necessarily already know. It's a download of something that underneath you already know. Mm-hmm. You just haven't allowed it in, give it permission to come to the fore, you know, which is why you can sit probably and stare at your VIP clients and know exactly what's coming next, what they're going to experience when you ask them to do something, because it's obvious. But until you've allowed your emotional system to give it up and to accept yourself for having it, even if you don't want it to stay, you know, it's going to keep knocking on your door. It's going to keep banging on the wall. And, you know, it eventually comes back in a bigger way to make you listen. So you may as well just rock on and face up to that shit and clear it and sort it and move on with your fabulous life. That's my motto.
Okay. And you know, like you say, I can envisage what's coming next, and you often send me a message going, well, you knew that anyway, didn't you?
But even now, when I've written the message, I think I'm not even going to send that, because she already knows I'm going to send it. So I'm not actually going to even send it. I've gone through that now. I don't even tell you, so that you don't get the opportunity. Because I can say, actually just going to go and do a little bit of tapping on this, and then I'm not going to have to go through that cycle of behaviour. I think you've noticed, Emma, I have messaged you a lot less lately. When tapping for me is about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can shift stuff in 10 minutes. Once you start getting into tapping, your body starts to go, oh, hang on a minute, this is a bit new. What's she doing? Oh, we feel quite supported. Oh, it doesn't feel as scary as we thought it did. Oh, hang on a minute, the problem isn't really there. Oh, all right then, let's crack on. Once your body starts to recognise what you're doing, you can shift stuff like, I mean, you know, my clients who I do work with one-to-one will say, you know, sometimes we don't hardly even need to tap, they're shifting in such, you know, this is something that really starts to become part of who you are. And you don't have to go around doing this all day, every day, you know. It gets less and less the amount that you tap, I would say, not more and more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I remember sending you a message in the summer last year when I caught a 400-metre runner tapping court.
I thought you meant actually like caught up with him. I was going to say that's impressive.
No, that, unless I'm in my car, no. But it's something that is very widely used, isn't it? It's something that is used by a lot of sportsmen and people in the line.
Yeah. Tiger Woods not the greatest example, but he's regularly seen, not at the moment anyway, bless him. I hope he's tapping through his problems though, eh? But you know, he if he plays a bad shot, he sees that as a negative energy for him to carry around the golf course for the rest of his tournament. So what he does is he just taps out the shot that he's just played that didn't go well. And then you can, you know, best foot forward and all that, because we all know about that spiral effect, don't we? You get out of bed, you stub your toe, and that's it, your day's gone to shit. Because, you know, one thing after another's just happened. And, you know, that's what tapping's great as a morning kind of ritual.
Well, you know, on something that your husband left out, and then before you you made it into the fact that your husband doesn't love you because he left something out that made you stub your toe, and therefore doesn't respect you, and therefore you can't run your business because he doesn't respect you, and
yeah, and then it becomes a monster.
Yeah,
and that's the trigger effect, because that's the filing cabinet opening and going, you know, husband left that, oh, no respect. Oh, that's cross-examines with another, that cross-references with another file called no respect. So all the people that don't respect you show up. You know what I mean? We have the most complex computer systems going on in here, and we just don't give it the credit that it deserves. And tapping, I don't know. I mean, there's hypnotherapy, there's NLP, there's all sorts of ways. I've never been a particular reframer. Because I think once you get into tapping, you can't see the point in reframing. You just want to tap it out rather than reframe it. But I do some reframing work. But, you know, there's hypnotherapy, which is all designed to, you know, change the way that, you know, these experiences are perceived or whatever. I don't know much about it, but it effectively, you know, I've never loved anything more than EFT because it goes straight to the core of it and it's permanent. So once you turn off a trigger, that particular aspect cannot yank your chain anymore.
It
just can't.
Brain, isn't it?
Yeah, and literally what it feels like. So you'll say, well, is it removing memories? Are you changing memories? Is that right? You know, is that moral? Well, no, we're not changing memories. We're diffusing the negativity that is associated with them in our limbic system, in our brain, in our makeup, in our energy system. And when we remove the negative charge, I can still look at a painful memory in my mind. I can still go to when my dogs, you know, have passed, or when I've lost a family member, you know, real times of grief or real times of trauma, when I closed my business and I had to go and swear on the Bible and close it down in a solicitor's office. That was traumatic. I can talk about that now, and it is just matter of fact. I wouldn't want to go through it again. I've learned lessons and I won't do it again. But
it's not responsible for the memory, isn't it?
And there's no ripple effect from it. There's no ripple effect from it. I'm not making it mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, isn't it? We make things mean things and they don't mean them. And tapping separates them.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Separates them.
Cool. I am going to open up the floor. Would anybody like to ask me or Ange any questions at all? And Ange can let us know a little bit about why today's a super exciting day for her.
Yeah, do I look like my eyes are down here because I've been awake since 5 o'clock with excitement?
I don't think that was getting stuff done.
And the fact that I had suddenly realised I had loads of stuff to do that I hadn't actually done yesterday, but you weren't supposed to say that. Do you not think I'm a Zen-like model of perfection or something? I mean, what are you trying to say? I'm flawed.
Totally. You're totally Zen-like. If we'd have done this 6 months ago under the same circumstances, you would have been like that.
I would, yeah. I would. Definitely. It is a phenomenal experience to be launching my program. It's called Shift Your Shit and Tap Into Your Power, which is it does exactly what it says on the tin. Because this stuff we're talking about is all filed under shit. and it's shit that you're lugging around, and it's baggage, it's heavy baggage that you're carrying around that is literally weighing you down, holding you back, and stopping you from getting out of your own way and getting on and doing what you came here to do, and serving the people that you came here to serve, and you know, doing your purpose in life, and also being your authentic self. You know, that was a big thing when I started Epiphany Junkie. I thought, oh, I'll sell a program about becoming your authentic self. Actually, people don't buy their authentic self. They don't want to buy a program that helps them meet their authentic self. I don't believe. They want to shift their shit, and the byproduct of that is that you meet yourself in that process, and you then can celebrate how amazing you are instead of beating yourself up all the time. And so I created Shifty Shit because that was the overall aim, was to reach as many people as possible. You know, I mean, tapping is becoming much more widespread. It's much more mainstream now, but it still needs more people to know about it, do it. And my passion is to serve a global audience of people, to get them to tap. And so I created an online program that is done in 6 modules at whatever pace that you want. And it basically tells you, you know, teaches you how to establish where you are, where you want to be, what the shit is that's in your way. And it's an integrated learning program on how to tap it out, how to collapse your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, how to collapse your fears. And you know, you then test it and test it and test it at the end to make sure that you've cleared it, because that's a real key point. You know, don't just feel a bit better and then naff off and hope it's gone. You got to get it rid of it properly so it doesn't come back with a Mickey Mouse disguise on somewhere down the line, you know. And that's yeah, I was, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now I'm Mickey Mouse, and you think, hang on a minute, I thought I'd dealt with you. No, I'm still here, and it's coming back. So we test and test and test, and there's a group of wonderful shift shitters, which has taken me a full 18 months to actually be able to say without spitting everywhere.
You got it wrong. You called them shift shitters.
I can't.
Not shit shifters.
That's right. And I just can't do it. And my brain freezes.
Shitters.
Shift shifters who are literally doing it and being utterly astounded at their own capabilities, because this isn't me doing this for you in this program. You actually are finding the answers in this program. You are having your own epiphanies. You are doing your thing, and then you're going out into your own world and seeing how different your husband looks at you all of a sudden, and how your kids seem a bit more chilled, and you know, and how work actually doesn't seem so bad, or you actually think, that's time to have me notice, and I hate this shit, I'm getting out, you know, and everything. I described it on my page the other day about it's a sliding doors moment. Once you start shift your shit and tap into your power, and you start to collapse what we call tables of belief, we take the legs out from under them and they just boom, go down. You know, once you start collapsing those, you start moving through your life, and you start seeing where I would have been throwing the bowl of sugar across the kitchen right now about that. Or, you know, I would have been getting in my car and storming off, or I would have been sitting crying in my room and unable to answer the phone for 2 days because of that, or whatever. And you start to see that's what you would be doing, but you're not doing it. And it's sort of like living in a parallel universe for a little while. You sort of think, I'm feeling all right. What's going on? And when you're feeling all right, you've got loads of energy and clear thinking to do what you were trying to do and that you couldn't do. And you've cleared all that space. You've emptied the bin. Do you know what I mean? You can't shove any more shit in there. Just get it emptied. And so this program is designed to help you do that. And it's absolutely lush. I adore it. It's my pride and joy. And I'm so excited to be launching it, because it hasn't been open. The doors haven't been open for 6 to 7 months. I think it was October, you know.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Exciting!
So I don't know if you're going to share a link for it, or if anyone wants to pop over to my page and see, because I'm going to post on it in the next sort of half an hour. I've just sent an email out to everybody on my list. So if you're not on that, you won't know about it yet, because I haven't put it on Facebook.
Cool.
So,
once we're finished, I will amend to give a link to your page, and if anybody is interested, they can find their way over to you.
Marvellous. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Emma.
So let's have a look at the comments. So if you do want to ask us anything, do pop some comments in. Vicky says, I had an amazing session with Ange and she is awesome. It's amazingly powerful stuff. Big thumb.
Yeah.
Margaret's coming back to watch later because she's off to work now. Anne says, I really want to learn lots more about EFT. Lisa says, I'm in a permanent state of fear at the minute. I feel panic all day long. What would you suggest as a first step to help Lisa if she's feeling really panicky all of the time?
Yeah, well, firstly, I would say that, you know, it's awful being in panic, Lisa, and I'm with you there, because my story, if you do decide to go and check it out, I was in panic. And one of the reasons why I started using EFT, which, you know, I didn't go into the moment I was pushed out of the door and locked out of the house by my husband and, you know, my then boyfriend, who said, sort it out. You know, I went into a panic attack at that point, and I'd never had a panic attack before, but I had lived in low level panic all the time. So I totally get where you're coming from. It's vile. And I would say that probably shift your shit is slightly further down the line for you. I do have a lovely sort of emergency kit for panic, which is just basically a program that's designed to get you out of panic, to switch it off. The chances are, if you're feeling panicky all the time, Lisa, that you are in fight flight, and that, you know, you're looping through that, and you might be coming out of it momentarily but staying in it a lot. And if you're feeling, you know, wobbly, you know, what I would say is, if you've got chest pains and your fingers are numb, or you can't feel your extremities, anything like that, you know, that's proper. Ring the ambulance, ring a doctor, ring somebody. Panic, people. Don't sit and necessarily try and grind your way through panic. This is serious stuff. But if you are in a panicky state that goes up and down, and you know you're in the room and your feet are on the ground and you can do something about it, then you can go to epiphanyjunkie.com and to the shop, and there is your anxiety Epiphany program, which is just £27. I try to make it as accessible and affordable and as easy to use as possible. You don't need to have an understanding of tapping. You don't need to know anything. All you need to do is go in. It's like having me in the room with you, and you can start tapping. And there are sequences in there that are designed specifically to switch off stress, turn down panic, and get you to a point where you can actually hopefully have an epiphany about what it is that you need to do next. And so, you know, if Lisa wants to message me, she can go to my page, epiphanyjunkie.com. Go to Attila Walton Epiphany Junkie on Facebook and message me.
Shortly. I'll put the link up the video shortly so that they can.
But you really have to learn. You've got to learn. I think if you're in a panicky state or an anxiety state, which, you know, a lot of people are, it's much more common than you might think. Then you're really going to benefit from understanding the power you've got over that response, because you are not an anxious person. Anxiety is just a response. It isn't who you are. And so once you learn, actually, I can switch that off. Yeah, that's such an empowering moment in your life, and then you can build on it. But it's important to learn to get it switched off first, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself if you're panicking.
And it's pretty exhausting living like that, if nothing else.
Oh, it's horrendous. I look back now, and when I say I don't have a negative emotion attached to it, I still feel emotional for the girl I was, for the shit I went through, and what I put myself through, and what I tolerated, and what I endured. And I look back now, and I never want people to tolerate and endure it like anxiety like that. It is awful, and it is not who you are, and it can change. So, Lisa, please do check it out and message me if you need to.
Cool. Does anybody else want to ask us anything else? I'm going to just leave it open for a minute or so and see if there's any more comments to come through. But if not, that's completely dandy too.
It is. Yeah, no, I can't see the comments. I feel a little bit left out.
Well, I don't want you to see them.
You're welcome, Lisa. I kind of flashed up there.
If you want to, if you're on the replay, if you're watching us later, if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to the podcast, then don't hesitate to let us have your questions if you do have any, and we will come back in retrospect and answer them too. Because we won't penalise you for not being with us live.
No.
Cool. Totally cool. And if there's anything that's for Ange, I can tag Ange in and she'll come back over and answer them. If there's anything for me, equally, I can come back in and answer them. So we will presume that everybody's fine and dandy. It's been lovely. A little bit of time this morning with your missus.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really grateful, and I'm just delighted to be spreading the tapping love and, get everybody, as many people as possible tapping, because if you're going to work with Emma Holmes, folks, you're really going to benefit from having this awesome little tool in your toolkit, because by God, she's going to make you need it. Talk about up-leveling as a human being. Some people are just in this world to raise consciousness. No, you're raising their consciousness, and tapping is the fastest way to get to that up-leveled state. And we all know that you're going to up-level us before we even decide to work with you, and that's why we click the button and go, but it's an awesome experience. And tapping is, really, really, really the best thing you can do, and it's free. You don't, I know I've got a program to buy, and I know I've got anxiety stuff, and that's there for people who want to really dig deep. But if you just want to learn to tap, you can follow me and do that, and this doesn't cost you a penny. So there are many ways in which you can do that. And if you're working with an awesome mentor like Emma, and they're pushing you out of your comfort zone, it'll really help you get through that stuff quicker and get you to where you need to be. Hence the fact, the progress, that lots of us have made in a very short space of time. Don't you think, Emma?
Yeah, you're all amazing.
And they're all tapping.
I always think that it's funny that you put something in the other week about saying that you, in one of my groups, about saying that you wished you hadn't said that you were ready to really up level because I've been kicking you up.
Oh yeah, I did. I said, don't ever say you're ready to step up for real unless you really mean it, because Emma Holmes is so on my case. It's not true! Exclamation mark.
That was the slow blink, wasn't it?
Yeah, double blink. It might have even been a triple, to be honest. Triple blink situation. So I'm really, really, like I say, I'll come over and answer any questions later. I'll be around all day. I'm just shifting your shit. I said it again. And I'm going to be working on that. It doesn't matter, people know what I mean. It's like a dyslexic thing. I can't seem to get it the right way around. Maybe I need to call it something else.
It just makes it completely funny. So
it does.
Thank you all for spending time with us, and thank you so much, Ange, for spending time with me this morning. It's been absolutely epic, and I will be back on the page really, really soon, and I will come on over. I'll amend this post to pop Ange's details above. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Emma. See ya.